Well, back-to-back wins. You'd argue we're in form, but you could also argue we're not. Essendon 13-8-86, defeating a very accurate North 12-5-77 in front of 40,000 people at Marvel on a Saturday afternoon. Welcome back to the Don Pod. I'm here with Nathan. Good afternoon, Nathan. Or good evening.
Good afternoon, Sam. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've just had a little trip back to the mighty town of Stawell, where all the cool people live.
And moved away, evidently.
Well, that's why I had to move away. I wasn't cool enough, obviously. And yeah, watched the game with some friends.
Nice.
So I've got slightly drunken recall of the third and fourth quarters. Okay. So I apologise if things get hazy at that stage.
That's all right. Might make it more fun. I watched it with about 36,000 friends.
You don't have that many friends. I'm not even on Facebook. Do you have that many friends?
No. Not even on the page. Yeah, good point. Anyway, before we get into AFL, I just want to talk very, 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 very briefly about the phenomenal story that is Matildas.
Yep.
Currently, as of recording, into a semi-final against England on Wednesday night. Just the most captivating sporting moment I can remember. Just all-consuming. Every single person knows about it. Every single person's invested in it, just about. Most watched sporting event on TV since Kathy Freeman won gold in 2000. It's just phenomenal.
Yep. My wife watched it and got enthralled, and that, for people that don't know, that is a massive statement. She does not get involved in sport at all. No.
I had one of my mates tell me that his wife was watching it and like freaking out, just absolute freaking. Why do you watch sport? How can you do this to yourself? And his response was, "This is why we watch it."
I must admit, when the number 5, what was her name again?
Vine, the one that the winning goal. Yep.
Yeah. When she came out, I said to her, "We've got this. She's going to, number 5s don't make mistakes."
No, that's right. They don't.
Yep. So we'll be fine, people. Everyone, we're going home. We're going to the next level. No problems.
I love everything that comes out of it, and then Twitter with the memes and
all the people jump, like all the different angles of people.
Yes, the different crowds going nuts.
I don't think the AFL would have been happy because would have been nobody watching their games.
It was a very low scoring first quarter too, so quite boring.
Maybe Carlton were running.
Did you see what happened in Perth?
Scores. No.
So they had it on the big screen in Perth. It was right at the start of that game, and start of the shootout, Fremantle ran out, and they turned off the soccer on the big screen to show Fremantle running out, and everyone booed. Fremantle supporters, West Coast supporters, everyone lost their shit. It was hilarious.
Did they turn it back on? Or?
Yeah, they put it back on.
Oh, right.
There was videos going around of the crowd reacting.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
Just phenomenal. Heroes everywhere. Our goalkeeper, Mackenzie Arnold, is a freak.
Yeah. It's great to see a team, like Australia loves its team sports. It's, crickets, it's soccer and things like that. And it's great to see a team putting it right against the world's best.
Yep. Well, I mean, I'd argue we France, are one of the world's best.
Well, but yeah, like we're ranked, 12th? 10th. Whereas France are 3rd.
Ish.
So that's very impressive, I reckon.
I'd argue Sam Kerr's lost her mantle as the best player in the world too.
What?
Mary Fowler.
Oh,
her pen, holy shit!
Yeah.
If you're an avid watcher of football / soccer, she hit that so fucking hard. Oh, it didn't bounce; it went straight.
We talked about,
we'd call it.
We talked about that. Some of them were pinging like.
Oh my God.
Others were. That's a bad choice.
There were some odd techniques, like one of the. I mean, it's all a bit of
the stutter one. That one was like what? That was. She had to do it again, didn't she? They got stopped.
No, that was okay. No, she was okay. As long as you got continual motion, you can't stop and then go again. Which she had continual motion. So that's
I thought one had to do again. And
one of our keepers argued that one. Yeah. Was because our goalkeeper come off her line. So
that's right. Yes.
When the shot's taken, you've got to have at least one foot. And she saved both of them anyway. Anyway.
Yeah, so it was enthralling.
Now,
much better than our game, probably.
Absolutely. I did hear a couple of heckles towards the forward that plays for North Melbourne saying the only forward we care about is Caitlin. Which I thought was a unique heckle. We never get again. Anyway, we're only here for the AFL, but...
What was your take from the game, Sam? You were at it.
I was at it. I had a nice... Sat on the wing on level 3. Well, half forward, because I like to see things. I took particular notice of who started on the wing, because that's obviously a source of contention that we'll get into.
Yep.
It was a lot less frustrating than the West Coast game.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my score sources that we'll talk about, which tells a bit of a story about why it wasn't quite as frustrating as last week.
Yep.
On the face of it, beating North Melbourne by 9 points, not great, but it was nowhere near as much of a shit show as the West Coast game was, and
I thought we played better.
we made some better coaching decisions.
Well, there was a lot of times when we had we should have probably scored more, but we had a lot of ball inside 50, but we just couldn't.
Oh, I didn't write down any
And it's been a bit of a thing for us the last few weeks that we can't score.
Yes, and I'll go into that. I have neglected to write down any team stats, so I'm just going to get them up now. My apologies.
I can feel
to the good people. That's okay. I can do it. It's all right. We're good. I'll run through the stats and then we'll get into some deeper conversation. So goals: Martin and Langford 3 apiece. Wright and Menzies 2 apiece. Sardis and Perkins with 1 each. Very crucial goals, and Guelphy also 1. Parish 33 touches, Martin 32, and Hobbs a PB 29. As I said, I haven't written down the match stats, so I'm not going to reel off them too much, other than to say, if I could find the particular stat I want.
Well, just quickly, Nick Martin, like 30 plus touches, 3 goals, that's
elite.
That's elite football. And it was clear that he was back on more of a wing role. Like, to go back to your early point about who started on the wing, he played much more of that wing role, which he played better. We looked better. And you go, I will massively question the last 2 weeks of why.
Yep. So efficiency inside 50, 41.7% for North, 40% for us. So
gross.
Weirdly, the AFL average is our average for the year is 48, and the average for the AFL isn't actually much better. It's quite low.
Okay.
But that tells a story. And it's been a bit of a theme for us that we don't have a high number of inside 50s. We had 60, which was plus 12. That's probably the highest differential we've had for a long time.
But it was still the same problem. You could see where we struggle a bit more to get the ball forward from our back half, but we can get it. We've got more of a chance to get a scoring opportunity from a stoppage, like either centre or just around the ground stoppage.
Interesting that you say that.
I hope I'm right. If the other stats, please tell me.
For this particular game,
oh damn!
I'm not going to shame you into the whole season because I don't know. I feel like we're a good team scoring from stoppages.
Yes.
This particular game, we didn't score particularly well from stoppages.
Oh, damn.
So, for them, great source. So they scored 5 from stoppages and 3 from our defensive 50.
Yep.
And I put 1 under Redmond flog when he just let Larky break the tackle and walk into an open goal. Yes. That was a stoppage clearance. So it's actually 6, but I just wanted to point out Redmond. I was disgusted right at that point in time. I was like, mate, Adelaide wanted you to play for them, not North Melbourne.
There was a couple of things. There was a couple of times there when there were ball ups in their 50, and Simon, one of my friends who was there, we were talking about this, that we had no defenders on that forward side of the contest. Which is the dangerous side. Like, the ball gets out there, and there was one actually where Bryant tapped it probably
straight to Simpkin.
Yeah. And Sims just walked through the middle of everything.
Tap.
No one was in front of him. Yeah, no one was in front of him, though. That's where a defender needs to be. Like, on that side, defending that traffic coming through.
It's a gorgeous play. It's just a shame that it was his opposition. 6 goals from stoppages for them. That was evident at the game. Only one of them. So let me start that again. 6 from clearances, 1 from centre clearances. So actually 7 of their 12 goals were from clearances. Yep. For us, 10 of our 13 were from turnovers or our defensive from North's defensive 50. So we were able to move the ball,
which we haven't. I don't
back
think
to forward.
I feel comfortable we haven't been able to do that.
Turn the ball over on or in between the arcs.
Yep.
Turn the ball over and score. So I feel like that is a bit of a change for us.
Yep. Well, it did look the thing that was positive. There was a bit more of that run and carry from behind, and those handballs out. Like, a
bit more movement.
Which we've struggled with. And that looked to me like a Merritt was playing a bit more sort of behind the ball because he was getting tagged. So that probably was, part of the plan.
Well, Merritt, interesting. 21 touches, which is low, obviously. 9 tackles, 5 clearances, which is just picture boy for you can still have an impact.
Well, exactly. That's what you have to do when you're getting tagged. You have to go, okay, I tackle. That's what I'll do.
Yep.
And that's what he picked up, a fair few touches because you saw him tackling players and then getting the free kick. And Hmm. No, so and the other interesting thing too around that stage, there was a few times I saw where the CBAs were like Hobbs, Perkins, and Sardis.
Yeah. Well,
Which
and Brad
mm,
Scott touched on that in the presser that, we've at one point or at several points today, that was our midfield.
which is ridiculously young.
And
There was a lot of debate I
Brian
saw
in the
around.
ruck too.
Yeah. Which again, very young, 21-year-old.
Mm.
There was a lot of debate around who was younger, and I don't think I don't see the point in that.
We talked about this a little bit last week, in that it's probably games experience, but any stat on its own, you can't really.
We're both around the same mark. You can argue the days or the few numbers here and there. North Melbourne and us, and teams like Adelaide and Hawthorn and Brio are all very much in the younger group.
And you look at what Hawthorn's doing at the moment.
Oh wow!
Evidently, age and everything.
I thought they'd get flogged all year, to be honest.
Yeah, same. Impressive and somewhat scary, actually, Hawthorn, what they've done the last 2 weeks. Elephant in the room.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's what the ladies say.
Other than me.
My big nose I was referring to there.
Yeah, okay, sure. Jake Kelly.
No. I shudder.
So I tried really hard. It's very easy to get lost in the game. I tried really hard to just focus on what was happening with the wingers and what was happening with Jake Kelly.
Yep.
They ran out onto the ground, did their warm-up. He was warming up with the forward group, which I'd seen on Twitter that he was training with the forwards during the week anyway, so that wasn't a massive surprise, other than the fact that why the hell is he playing forward anyway?
Well, that's a surprise in itself, but it's a move from the wing surprise.
He was a very, very, very high forward, as in when the ball was inside 50, he was in the defensive 50.
Yep.
So he was still doing a fair bit of defensive work. And there was one moment in the first quarter where he just absolute hauled ass out of the defensive 50 running forward. The man can move. He's quick. Like, he's actually quick when he's sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
It's just everything else.
Well, there was also one moment that really annoyed me too. So he had an opportunity to go at the ball and therefore take a player. It was in about middle of the ground, about 60 out from our goal. Mm-hmm. And a North Melbourne player was coming one way, he was coming the other way, and he shirted the contest.
Mm-hmm.
He absolutely,
second time in 2 weeks that's happened.
Yeah, he absolutely, we were all watching, went, that shit, can't have that. Like, he's stepped off.
Yeah.
And I went, he had to just go in, hit the body, and try and, because then they had free, like, players running past, got a handball, and off they went down the other end.
Yeah.
Whereas he had to hit the ball, try and spill it, but it was horrible.
Yeah. Don't get it. I'm assuming for the sake of 2 more games, they'll persist with whatever they're trying to do now.
So the question is, why is Jake Kelly being given an opportunity to play anywhere in the ground? Because of what's the attribute? There must be an attribute that we can't see that he's bringing to the team that they need to have, and they're trying to find a spot for it.
As a forward, possibly our ability to lock the ball in, which he didn't do.
No, he didn't.
As I said, he really surprised me with how quick he was. Maybe there's something in that. Maybe his leadership. It was,
but
in VFL he was setting up the defence and all that. Maybe that forward line, I guess you could argue there's not a lot of senior players down there other than Wright. There's maybe not a lot with that.
Well, the Peter Wright, who doesn't look like he talks a lot.
No, he's a quiet kind of guy.
Does Langford look like a talker?
No, I reckon he's pretty quiet too, actually. That's just vibes. Means nothing.
Yeah.
Possibly as a stringer replacement. They're similar heights. I don't like it. I'm guessing.
I'm just fascinated by. So when it was clear that they must have found different options, and can we quickly jump over to Baldwin?
You can quickly jump over wherever you like.
Because he played his, I'm going to say, 5th game of AFL at a guess, without, you can probably prove me on that. And he is now, if he has to play every game he's fit for, because
he's in that team.
I think he went
for sure.
Sorry?
He's in the team for the rest of the year, absolutely.
Right. He went at 100% by foot, and there were 2 plays, and not only that, but his body on work against his opponent at different stages, and sometimes that was Cherry.
Someone was calling him Cherry, and I'm like, who?
Yeah.
Oh, it's X-Cherry, because you call him X-Cherry.
And X-Cherry. And he's body work with him, and I think it was one of the other, like Sir Harold, whoever the other forward was at the time. I'm not sure.
Definitely wasn't Zerha because he didn't play.
No, he wasn't playing. So it was the other one. What's his name? Anyway, he was unreal. Like, he was really good in that. But then there were two stages when he got the ball and he carried it out of the halfback line, kicked, hit a target, and the bullet little passes, got it again.
He had
another little
two disposals in that play where he halfback, absolute worm burner straight to down the guts of one of our blokes, got the ball back and kicked it. It was a goal assist.
Yeah,
in the end.
And I'm like, well, that's enough. Like, he plays. That I'm sorry. And is it this sort of thing with him coming in and maybe Cox also? I thought I saw a bit from Cox. So I really liked. There was some really good defensive efforts from punching and in the running carry that he brings in. They've gone, well, those guys are pushing him out, but they, for whatever reason, as you're saying, with the defensive, his leadership or his
There's
whatever
something
reason,
clearly that
they're trying to keep him in the team. But I don't understand. Like, if you can't play in that role, which is your best role, if someone's got past you, then I'm sorry, you go to the VFL.
You're just not in the team.
You become backup. That's the reality of the game, isn't it?
It's interesting too. Like, we talk about kids and Sardis and Cox and all them back in a couple of years ago as well.
Yep.
You look for moments. You look for little signs that they're going to be good players, and we've seen plenty with Sardis in 2 games already.
Yeah.
But even in that Kelly situation, you do the same thing. You look at what are the moments, what are the little things he's doing that you go, that's why.
Yeah.
No.
Didn't see it. Haven't seen it.
No.
Because it's not like on the wing, he's like finding heaps of space and creating, getting the ball and kicking it to leading forwards. Or as a forward, he didn't take a mark. Well, probably did take a mark, but I don't remember taking a contested mark.
So there was one moment in that game where I thought, geez, that was good. And that was just because he was quick. That was the only source of joy.
Is that a bit like our, effort? Oh, he gives effort. They're all expected to give effort.
I freaking hope not, because he shirked a couple of contests.
Yeah, well, he did shirk. And it was very frustrating, that was.
Yeah, this seems like a good segue.
I
do love a good segue.
You do love a good segue.
Into the wings. Which I really tried hard to pay attention to. And it's interesting you say that. Starting wings, because I like to see what the very, very first centre bounce looks like. Martin and Durham.
Boom.
And I did a little happy dance. In my head.
No.
Hallelujah, for fuck's sake. Thank God for that. And then as the game went on, particularly second half, I'm not quite sure when the change really happened. It went from that setup to Durham and Cox. And Cox was pretty much that matchup for the entire second half. There was a rather
and that's happened the last 2 games too. Cox
I'm fine with that. That's the option. That's fine. Jake Kelly's not the option. And then Martin plonked himself at half forward and pushed up fairly quickly.
Yep.
Fine. Durham did the same thing. There was one where Durham started in the forward 50, hauled ass up the ground. It's fine.
Yep. Again, and you're talking about so just to jump back to that last point, is that so you're talking about you're looking for those moments. And we know someone like Durham takes great overhead marks. So as a forward, you can say, well, that works. I can see why they would be trying to get him forward because he's marking capability, and we're a bit short of that at the moment. We're not marking the ball.
Took a beautiful mark in between 2 North Melbourne players on the wing.
Yeah. So you see that and you go, yeah, that makes sense. I get what they're trying there. Yeah.
And Marto, if I was a forward, which I was, but 15 years ago, he hit Langford, I think, first quarter. It was just the most perfect kick to a forward you'll ever see in your life. And he did it multiple times. His set shot was beautiful from 40 out on a very tight angle. His open goal that he sort of faked around 2 of them and just kicked it. I don't have the words. We got him for nothing. And he has so much time.
But he's clearly become one of the most skillful players, and he's got a couple of things. He's got the skill, but he also sees the game beautifully. Like he got that forward craft in him, so he knows where the ball needs to be for them to make it work.
Yeah,
he's not like, I'll just kick it where they're pointing. He's like, no, you need to get to the back there. That's going to be your space.
Yes, you don't have to have the forward run for you to kick it to them. You kick it to the space that they run into. And
that's what good midfielders do, that they kick it and make the forwards get there.
Yeah. And there's that one in particular to Langford. He did a couple where I just went, holy hell. If you're Langford or Wright or whoever, you'll just go and give the ball to Rusty, please.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they don't call him that. But
no, but we do.
It was hot.
Yeah, no, he was unreal, and it was clear that he'd moved back to that more wing sort of half, that
Wing half
being
forward.
influenced. Yeah, well, it being sort of involved in the middle of the ground contests, like not deep forward or wherever the hell he's been hidden the last 2 or 3 weeks where you barely see him. Like again, 33 touches or what it was, 32.
32 and
That,
3 goals
whereas the
is.
last few weeks it would have been 18s or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you need the ball in players' hands like that because of how they use it.
Well, it's stupid because like that's your avenue to goal.
Mm.
Win the ball from a clearance, hit up a leading forward. That's the most perfect football can be, really. And he is that guy, and he can kick
And I
them
know
himself.
there was a bit of talk from other things about he wasn't defending the other wingers very well, and I can get that. But see, I'm a bit. But if he's like, sometimes you've just got to take him on. Like, and
if you were to,
it's kind of like picking on Parish about the way he kicks the ball sometimes. But he's getting 20 clearances a game.
yeah, don't matter.
If he butchers some of that, I don't care because he's getting the ball forward. I'll take that. Yeah. Somebody else.
I know
can go
it's
defend.
not quite this simple, but you can kind of get away with having a more defensive winger and a more attacking winger.
I agree.
Durham
with that,
is certainly not defensive in terms of ground position, but defensive in terms of impact on his opponent and tackling and all that. Whereas Mardo, because he's so good by foot and so elite in that area, yeah, you don't have to always.
His influence in the game can be more about that what he does forward than what he can do defensively. Mm-hmm. A bit like what Langford, he can go play as a defender, but it's horrible. He's more influential as a forward. So
I just want to see if this has goal assists on here or not, because I reckon. Okay, my phone's just decided to freeze. Never mind. Oh no, there we go.
Back.
I feel like a boomer some days, I tell you.
I still find that a slightly derogative comment because you usually aim that at me.
And
I'm not even in that generation, which is the other issue I have.
The boot bits. 3 goals for Rusty, 1 goal assist and 9 score involvements. 9 score involvements.
Yeah, 9 score involvements.
That's quite large.
Yeah. Bit like
Well, probably. He's got BDE. We've talked about this.
Oh yeah. There was that shot of him after one game.
That was where we got it from. That was the West Coast game where he's sitting
there with his arms, his legs spreading it out.
Yep, huge.
Got this, everyone.
He's
been such an important player to have come into the club in the last 2 years and had an influence. It's been amazing.
There's 2 factors. One, he is just a very good player, but it is also how we got him, how we ended up at the club.
Yeah, that's right.
It's phenomenal. While we're gushing about wingers, this wasn't massive in terms of the game or anything, but I just want to show a little love for Durham.
Yep.
He's become such a, I don't know if you'd say unsung hero, but...
No, but he's...
22 touches,
yep.
8 of them contested, 5 score involvements, 5 marks, 2 of them contested, and a tackle inside 50, which is only 1, but hey-ho, and 5 inside 50s. Like, he's very impactful with what he does, and for a bloke who must be, I would say, not scratching 190 centimetres.
No, and fairly light too.
185, nowhere near.
And I don't know how many games experience too would be the other question I'd have, because he was only a mid-season draft pick from last year too, wasn't he?
No, year before, I reckon.
The year before, was it? Still hasn't played a lot of footy.
Yeah, he'd be sub 30, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I could check it, but I can't be bothered.
30 to 50.
Just a little bit of love.
Yep.
He's that guy that used to be just effort. He was there on effort, but now he's there on effort and everything else.
What did you think of Sardis' second game? Have they done Rising Stars yet this week? I haven't looked.
Yeah, Elijah Hewitt got it from West Coast, which
actually
I don't know. I don't know if blokes have been nominated for Rising Star when they've lost by 101 points, but last week.
Let's not talk about how much West Coast lost by.
I would have welcomed him getting the Rising Star nod, but anyway. Elijah was very good. First goal in the last quarter, very crucial moment, and had his arm up in the air celebrating as he got absolutely shit-faced by his opponent, which was hilarious. He's a little dork. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear him speak yet. He's hilarious.
No, I have, but I haven't noticed the dorkiness.
He talks in cliches. Great.
Oh, no, he's one of those, yes. We'll get that.
He's a kid. That's fine. That's exactly. So 23 touches, a goal. Was in the middle. I think he had about 30% CBAs. You right?
Sorry, just
It's
had that
okay.
little cough that I thought was going to be more, but it turned into just
This
one.
wasn't okay.
Yep.
Disappointing. Love seeing him in the middle. This is when I see that, and Brad Scott sitting there talking about not sacrificing the future for the now. Okay, well, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I had issue with that over the last few weeks of the Kelly selection, though, because that felt like we were
But it
selecting the
can't be
now,
on
not the
every
future.
front.
Yeah, I know, but I still don't understand. Somebody in the comments, please explain to me why they think Kelly's been playing in these roles, because I'd love to have an explanation where I go, well, I get that, but I don't like it, but I get it.
Yeah. No, I love Elijah's. He's like I said last week. He's green. He's quite clearly a kid, and I think his kicking is a bit funny. I don't know. I can't quite describe it. It's a bit lacking penetration.
Yep, but that's right.
But second game, who gives a stuff?
I thought Jai Menzies had an influential small forward, which one of my frustrations throughout the game where I felt like when the ball was being kicked to the tools, there were none of our smalls there to hit those packs.
Mm-hmm.
It was again, it felt like to me watching the game, there were a lot of North Melbourne small defenders taking the ball away, and none of ours coming in to at least have a shot at goal.
Yep.
But I thought Menzies wasn't great at that, but he got around the ground, did some really, really good things. And it was, as we talked about the other day, we'd only had those 2 goal scorers in the last 2 games being Wright and Langford. So at least this week we had a couple of other guys pop up with goals.
Yeah. And as a small forward, 2 goals was good. He got a little opportunistic one at the start of the third quarter, which was nice. Couple of tackles.
Yep.
He's quick. What I like about him...
Fast leg movement.
And he's like he's running on ice half the time. Yeah. But when he went out of the side, we were all sitting there, what the hell? And then he came back in the next week and he was just energetic.
Yeah, good word.
Sometimes it's not effort. That's different to effort.
Yep.
He's energetic. He's in your face. And if he can kick a goal or 2, happy days.
Which takes me to my next point of conversation is Guelphy.
Who's running the show? Sorry?
Guelphy. What do you think of his game?
Half time, we were slating him. And we made a little comment early in the third quarter because I was being a dick about him being the Prince of Perth and that he can essentially FO back to Perth. And from that point, he must have heard me from all the way up in the nosebleeds. He was very good, actually. He got back to that, and my mate commented, I haven't seen him dive for a smother in ages, and then he did about 7 of them in the second half. Kicked a goal where he, again, all of us going, get out of his space, because he was about to spoil Wright. Took the mark, kicked the goal. Okay, you can get in his space a bit more often then, because Pete's not fucking marking it. Until that, poor. Very poor.
I agree 100%. First half, I was like, he shouldn't play next week. Like he's just, and then I tried to, these last few weeks, I don't think he's been great, And then he did those things like you're talking about, and I don't want it to put it down to effort because we talked about everyone should bring effort.
There's a difference between effort and actually making the smother, taking the mark, kicking the goal.
But there was the smother, and there's a few acts then that I thought, okay, but he needs the challenge for him though is that has to be turned on all the time. That can't be turned off. Like you can't just have a half or 3/4 where he doesn't do that. He has to find a way to get involved in the game because he's a low possession. He's not a big goal scorer or anything. He's not, taking marks. I was watching the, Collingwood Geelong game on Friday night. I was watching their smalls at those 2 clubs, like, Ginnivan, your boy, and Close.
Don't you dare call him my boy, please.
And Grind Myers and guys like that who were small forwards and they were really influencing the game in just not necessarily kicking goals, but either taking marks at 70 and kicking, hitting good targets, or just, tackling and just being in the game. And I was like, he needs to find a way to, he needs to find a way.
And if he's not doing that, then
he's out.
You're not.
Although actually, he'll go to a wing.
Probably. We've tried everyone else there.
Yeah, and then we'll go to half back.
Can't wait to see Zerk Thatcher on a wing. While we're on that, actually, that's a fantastic segue that I didn't even plan.
Boom. Done it again.
I thought BCT had a good game, which is weird because his opponent kicked 5. But they were 5 very hard to stop goals in that I think 3 or 4 of them, probably 3 of them, came from leads that were not defendable. That's on the midfielders, not him, not Zerk.
Yep.
The broken tackle of Redmond, which frustrated the hell out of me, and I can't remember the other one. It was probably all marks, actually, apart from the broken tackle. When he got the chance in a one-on-one contest, body on spoils, etc., I thought he played a very good game. Just wanted to mention that because it's not often you can say a defender played well when his opponent kicked fast.
No, I agree. I think going forward, as I said, and we could probably have this conversation out of that about the Mackay. If that's still, watching him play live and all that sort of stuff. I thought BZT is still clearly one of our better tallish defenders.
He's the tallest.
Yeah, but Baldwin wouldn't be far off him height-wise. Like, there'd be 2 to 3 centimeters.
I reckon, yeah.
That's not a... Baldwin, I thought, played very... Like, if you ask me, Baldwin played better on a tall than Laverde does, would be my...
193, so yeah, 2 centimeters. It's not much, is it?
Which is bugger all, seriously.
Anything else? Can I move on?
Yeah. Again, I'd like to have a word about McGrath's use of football. If you want to... For all those people out there who think Parish butchers the ball, watch McGrath kick it sometimes. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. He had one moment where he broke off half back, ran about 30 or 40 metres with it, a couple of bounces and then hit a target. But by and large, yes, disposal is poor. Interesting you mentioned Mackay. I think he played his best game. He's played for a long time. But I also think that's a bit evident or as a result of our kicking inside forward 50. Yeah. Just plonking it on our forwards' heads. And
I agree.
Mackay's 200 and something centimetres and 100 kilos. Of course, he's going to have an impact. Like, it's not... I'm still not sold on Mackay.
Yeah, I agree. I was probably looking for a similar answer because, I thought the game style suited him. But he still doesn't overly dominate. Like, he didn't... Like, he wasn't...
He was dominant first half. I think we kind of got better at not kicking it. It was interesting how often him and North's other defender, whose name I did know.
Yep.
The other tall defender for them, who cracked the shits when Peter Wright took a mark.
Yeah. So I'll give you a stat that I thought looked poor to me, explained it to me. So Mackay had 8 marks. Redmond had 8 and Hind had 8. Now, they're smaller, obviously. But a lot of those, I think, would be where they're trying to turn that attack into defense. Defense into attack. So Redmond had 550 meters gained and Hind had 340 meters gained. Mackay had 146.
Like he marks though, they're smalls as opposed to...
Yeah, but he's not... He doesn't use... Like, is he just handballing off to everyone?
Yeah, which is probably his job.
But I think what my vision of a tall defender is that you can still kick.
It helps, but as long as you have a setup where right, Jordan Ridley's my kicker, or whoever else, because I can't think of another defender in that back line.
I mean, I think of someone like Andrews.
Harris Andrews. He kicked a goal on the weekend.
Yeah, but he's a tall defender, and May's the same. Like, they still use the ball really well by foot. Like, they would have 400 or 500 meters gained in most games, I would imagine.
Darcy Moore, I'd put in that category too.
Darcy Moore, yeah. They're guys that take the mark, turn around, and then kick it and hit targets and get game going. They don't look for, I've got to give it off to someone because I'm not good enough to kick it. Like,
it helps.
If I'm going to pay $800,000 for someone, they can't have faults.
You're fine. It's not everything though.
Fair enough.
I would take the best defender in the comp that can't kick over a lesser defender that can kick.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Okay, that's fine. We can disagree for this one time. I want to talk about Mr. Free Agent himself, Darcy Parish. I heard a little snippet. I was just watching TikTok, as you do before we recorded.
You don't?
Well, I do.
When you're boomers, you don't?
As do most non-boomers, yet took the words right out of my mouth. Talking about... Parish, and so it was Tom Morris, I think, on SEN, saying that the situation at the moment is at least Essendon think he'll sign, and most of the other clubs in the AFL are pretty much thinking the same thing, that they think he's going to stay. So that's really nice. But 33 touches, 9 clearances, 679 metres gained, which was a team high and second only to Davies Uniacke, who had a very good game for North. Had a beautiful kick back into, I think, Martin in the first or second quarter, where he had the ball in the pocket, turned, bung it on the foot, hit Martin. I don't remember a single of his, 33 touches that didn't hit a target. Like, there was no issues.
No, I agree. And I saw some stat.
9 clearances.
And I can't remember exactly what it is, but he's already nearly got the most, I can't remember if it was clearances or what, for Essendon from playing 15 games or whatever it is he's played.
He would have to be the leading clearance.
Yeah, so he's played a lot less than everyone, but he's well in front of them in whatever.
And this is what we talked about last week. His ability to win the football
is very important.
Is just so critical. Yep.
And as I've said, I don't think, like, if you think, but Hobbs could do that. Yeah, but Hobbs butchers the ball too. Like, he's not great by foot. And
like we said last week, that's a lot of midfielders who win the football.
Yep. Oliver does
the best disposal. Petraka, Bond, they all do.
Laird. We all looked at those inside mids, and they all have similar numbers by foot. So you just cop it.
When you can win the ball, if he wasn't offering anything else, okay, we'll have a conversation. But
if he was playing as a half backer, we'd be like, well, he's disgusting.
Yes, but when 9 clearances, like, he's in everything. And this is the thing about them tagging Merritt. You go, righto, tag Merritt. And if you don't tag Merritt, all right, tag Parish. Right, well, Merritt has 39
and kicks the ball beautifully all day. No, it's good. My only concern is that I'm a bit worried that he might not be, and I've always thought he will, because everything I've read about and heard about, the way he speaks. But as it's got later into the season, my concern has...
That's my little red flag as well.
Yeah, it's like, well, why can't he, like, is he expecting, like, is he waiting, thinking we're going to play finals? Is it, it's up to where we go at the end of the year?
One of my friends that I went to football with on Saturday, actually, who runs the Facebook page with me, they never post, but he's there.
He's a lurker.
He said he reckons, or someone reckons, there's a AFL Players Association, like a enterprise agreement kind of situation, that they're waiting on that, and I know nothing about that. So that's one of the reasons I've heard.
Because it's holding up a lot of other players like BZT and a few others that we've got that are...
What's he worth? At what point would you, Mr. Nathan, think too much?
$1 million, I'd probably go, that's too much.
Okay.
Well, so the rumour was that Mackay would be offered like 800,000. For me, Parish is worth that much.
Be more.
So it's somewhere around there. I don't know. But then it becomes the length of the deal. Like,
that's what I was about to say. So
he's 25, isn't he?
Nah, he'd be 26, I reckon.
I'll Google it. But he could easily be taking a 5 or 6 year contract over a little bit less, so he gets more over a longer time.
That's right.
Because you want to make him a lifelong player. He's like, he hasn't been overly injured. He's not someone, he can get injured, obviously.
He's been a bit injured.
But he's not, I don't remember him being injured for a long period. Like, he's done like hamstrings a couple of times. Not
calves. 26. The rumor on that same TikTok I was talking about was a long-term deal, Don for life. Which, yes, if you offer him a 6-year deal, takes him through to 32.
Yep. Then a 1 year
deal. You can pay him ever
so
slightly less than if you offered him a 4 or 3 year deal, which to me makes a bit of sense. Anyway, we're not.
From all rumors, we have a bit of cash.
War chest, TM.
War chest, as they describe it. Yes.
My point here really is just, I get why there's knocks on his disposal, but let it go. If you got someone in there getting 9 clearances a game and extracting the ball like he does,
between him and Martin, they won the game. I felt for us.
Yep, 100%. I want to mention briefly Hobbs because he had a very good game of football as well.
Yeah.
Personal best, yes, the Goblin. Personal best disposals, personal best 8 inside 50s, and an equal personal best of 6 tackles. Just again, I talk about energy and being there. He's there a lot of the time.
Yep.
Which is really nice to see.
And the other one I'd throw in there too was Perkins. I thought with these 20 possessions and 1 goal was,
yep.
I thought he continues to take, they're not massive leaps, but he continues to do
a lot better now.
He's looking a bit bigger too, and he's looking a little bit, and another preseason in him, and I reckon you'll have a big year from him next year.
Yeah. 4 tackles for him as well, a goal, and a crucial goal, at a crucial time.
Never thought it was going to miss. Beautiful set shot.
He ran in so quickly. It was a bizarre thing to watch. But anyway, keep going. Doesn't matter.
Yep. And what about Phillips's last game for the club?
I didn't quite understand that. So he's not playing,
I believe,
the next 2 games. That's a bit
We brought
odd.
the kids out, so I assume that's sign of the last game, and he cried.
I wasn't sure at the start, and then I thought, we have another home game. We have the game against Collingwood, our home game, so surely he'll get a bit of a see you later then.
But he
But
brought
it
the kids out,
yeah, I know, but there was so much focus on Cunnington,
which is fair enough. He's played
which is
250
absolutely
odd games.
fair enough.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, and I don't know if we got any word from the club that was his
Should
last
be
game.
someone could quickly read about it.
Look, doesn't matter too much.
Well, this is where we'd like to normally talk about the VFL, but
they had
I'd
their
like to have a
fourth bye
freaking
for the
go at the
season.
AFL, who have given them the fourth bye of the year when there's like 57 teams in the competition. I don't understand why they have to have 4 byes.
Painful.
One would clearly be enough, and it's ruining us watching our VFL players play, which is
half the fun. Well, it's about a third of the fun. I've got some socials.
I love a bit of socials.
And I'm going to ask you to pick the best again for a $20 voucher.
Oh.
Old mate that won it last time didn't get in touch, and I'm happy to spend the money and give away the voucher, but you've got to be listening. So if Nathan picks you, you've got to message us and tell us.
I support that. And I picked the last one last time because it didn't have a name. See, maybe there's a strategy of mine to make it harder for them to find us.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Go.
A lot of comments this week. There was a bit of a polite argument between a few people, which was interesting to read. I always enjoy a bit of drama in the chat.
Have we done our votes?
We don't make it personal. No, that comes after socials.
Okay, good to see you've got a process.
I'm pretty sure I do that every week. But
go, sorry. I'll just sit quietly.
Dennis Krause. Nice, simple comment, but I liked it. We should have smashed North, but it's a win.
Yeah.
Cop it on all 4 of my chins.
I just don't. I mean, I feel exactly the same. We've beaten second last by 8 or whatever and last by 1. We're horribly out of form, but we're still seeing signs from young kids that excite us. We're still seeing strange things like from Kelly and things like that. And so I don't want us to play finals, and I feel like most of us would be about in that position. We've got GWS and Collingwood. There's a good chance both those teams could flog us.
GWS is an interesting one. We'll come to that.
Well, they've lost a little bit of form.
On,
they were 3 weeks ago. They were the team.
We will talk about that.
So
momentarily,
like if we beat GWS, we've got an opportunity to play finals, which will mean Collingwood will beat us, and then they'll have that whole Carlton thing again. We'll probably lose by a freaking point and be knocked out of the 8.
And
let's just lose to GWS and save the pain.
Save Collingwood getting all up.
And then we can beat Collingwood and then just still finish 9th, and we'll feel okay with the world.
Well, it's interesting. We can win both games and still miss.
Oh,
I've done the maths. I would happily, not happily, I would accept losing both and just go, okay, we've had a.
But on that, we've won 11 games this year. Last year we won. Am I going to say 5 or 6?
Can you stop asking me questions?
Last year we won 5, 6.
If you give me 2 seconds. This was the social section. Just don't forget.
Sorry, it's just that topic from Krause or whatever his name was. It sent me off.
Dennis.
Dennis.
Let's say for W. That's not the right league. We won 7 games last year.
Okay, so we're 4 up from that. If we can be, say we finish on 11.
Very good improvement.
Yes, if we say we finish on 11, say we don't win another one, but if we win, say 12 or 13 next year, well, that's finals.
Yep, correct.
And that might be getting into finals with form and playing some good footy. So that's the way I'd be looking at it. It doesn't always work that way. It's not that linear. It's
not that simple, but improvement is improvement, and you take it. Phil, our mate Phil.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Phil from Tassie. Finals or not, bracket most likely not. This is the season we had to have. It showed us that we are building a side that will play a competitive style of football, and the players are buying in for what the future brings. Heppel was huge in the last quarter. Yes, we should have mentioned Heppel sooner. Been the one to step up when the chips are down. Had that awful shot at goal, and then immediately took a contested mark to keep the footy.
Yeah,
and ended up setting up Perkins actually as well.
And when that was happening, I was saying to the people I was with, he can't kick that far. There's no way he can kick that far.
That was my issue.
Yep, and they're all like, "Oh no, he should be able to." And I watched him try and get as close as and give it everything he had.
A bit of the grind
dragged it right. Yep.
Went 7 kilometers out to the right, and then.
Yep. Oh, to the left, actually. Sorry.
Sure.
No, to the right. That is the right. Sorry.
It is the right. You're right. And still, Phil, can we all write to Brad Scott and request him just to pop Kelly back in the VFL? He's a bit of a hard nut, but just doesn't fit our team dynamic. Now,
maybe we should all write a letter.
Not to imply you're a boomer, but you have already suggested that you were going to write a letter. which I found fascinating choice of.
How do you communicate with people? Like,
well, if I was going to
looking at
contact
your
the
phone?
club, I might email them. Certainly
Isn't
not
that just
going
writing a letter?
No, it's not.
It's an
I would
E
no.
letter.
Yes, but no. We're not going to get into semantics.
God. I wouldn't have physically written on paper.
That's what you said. I'm just quoting.
Okay, fair enough. Yep, I should have been clearer.
Peter James,
Pointer.
probably about a 1.8 metre Peter, I'd say.
Could be a 2 metre Peter.
It could be. I'm just 180 seems average. Time to
Could
put
be
Kelly
one.
back in the twos. No business on the wing and definitely not at half forward. At least twice I watched him pull out of a contest in fear of impact.
Yeah.
I know he has a history of concussion, but we can't have players not creating a contest. He's a liability. A flip side to that, Baldwin was great.
Baldwin was great. On that, did you see that McCartan retired too, which was, I assume, because of his concussion issues?
Got to look after yourself.
Is there anyone out there that thinks that the Kelly thing is working and they want to keep going with it? That's probably a better question, isn't it?
I would highly doubt it. If that's you in the comments, let us know and please explain in full detail because I'm interested.
And I'm
not going to argue. I'm just very interested.
No.
Beautiful thing about football, opinions.
Yeah.
Dakota Cook, great name, Dakota. Just quietly.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Durham underrated. That may or may not have been my trigger for just mentioning him because I fully agree. Heppel stood tall when it mattered. This is an interesting point. With the game style we play, Nick Hind is too good not to be playing AFL. This brand is his brand. I think we just need to ban Nick Hind from taking a bounce. He seems to fuck everything up as soon as he tries to bounce the football.
He has some real clusterfuck moments, like serious.
His feet goes quicker than his brain.
His brain must be the slowest part of him. I'm sure of it,
and
because everything else is moving quick. No, everything else is moving too quick.
Yeah.
He just gets himself into trouble sometimes. Then he goes,
top heavy. You're gonna fall over if he keeps running that quickly.
Like, how did you get there?
Still Dakota, expecting bigger things when Sammy Draper returns. Can't wait for that. I miss the big boy.
And so Draper, like Setterfield, has to come back in, even though he didn't play. Like we need that bigger body to be playing in there too. Like I think that's an important part of our clearance work. That other, 195 centimeter player.
Still that age-old question of who comes out. Don't answer that yet. That's rhetorical.
Yep.
Still Dakota. Many things we're struggling at the moment, but we're playing a brand that we want to play no matter the scoreline. There's positives for the first time in years to take away, and injuries have probably killed our season and our confidence.
And that's what we've had. Like with Durham, Setterfield out for a lot of the. Not Durham. Draper out for a lot. Setterfield out for a lot. Shield, is he gone? We didn't have Wright for half the season. Is Shield gone? Would you say?
Gone as in what sense?
Well, he's not on the injury list.
No, he's still injured. So Brad Scott was saying that he's struggling at the top end, as in he's not running. He's like 95%, but they're not bringing players back, which I can take as we're looking after him, and also he's probably not in the best 22. So unless he's peak perfect, we're not going to pick him. Two more comments quickly.
Yep.
Theo Messinus. I apologise if I got that wrong. And I love this. I love the buoyancy in this. It warms my heart. 6 straight from here, and the team becomes Baby Bombers version 2.
I mean, it's possible.
Theoretically, it is possible.
I love the vibe, but
the vibe. Yes, you win on vibe points. There you go.
Yep.
And Angus, who's a regular contributor, took my home one of the hats we gave away a few weeks ago. Did young Angus? I didn't feel as uneasy as last week. Definitely better signs.
Yeah.
How good's Kane Baldwin?
How good is Kane Baldwin?
How good is he? Can I have a little favourite comment from you there, please?
It was probably the ones from, was it Ella? Was it Ella? No.
Dakota?
That was Dakota.
Yeah,
not even close. Was I? Yeah, sorry.
The Durham underrated comment?
Yep.
All right, Dakota, if you're listening, message us on the page, please, and we'll send you a voucher of $20. Bomber shop. Get it done. Right, and close that. We need to do votes.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more straightforward this week. No arguments, I don't think, from either of us this week.
Oh, there might be still differences, but yeah.
Yeah, well. I put a post on the page last week, actually, after our discussion about Hind, because he only got one coach's vote. Said one like equals one extra vote for Hind. And I hate to tell you, he ended up with 67 votes. So, losing battle there for you.
I still stand by who I picked.
You would. I'll go first because I'm pretty happy with mine. Martin 3. Clear best on.
Yeah.
Parish 2, clear second, best on. And I went Benny Hobbs 1. I think the one vote can go any direction you like, but Hobbs continues to improve. 29 touches is a very good game of football. It's 29.
Yep.
Now I've said that. Yes. Impactful player as well. Hit me with yours.
I had Martin and Parish also in that 3 and 2.
Shocking.
Well, it was hard to. They were clearly the best players, and part of me almost went Parish first, but
I talked you out of it. Is what happened.
Well, you didn't talk me out of it. I remembered then how good Nick Martin was. I gave my one vote to Baldwin because I just loved the way he played, and I want that in my team.
Yep.
And I'm not saying he was the third best player. I want to recognise the young player and the great game he played.
I feel like we use the one vote as a bit of a symbolic vote sometimes.
Yeah.
2023 is the first in the history of the Don Pod where a coach got a vote.
Yes, that's true. That's going to be awkward at the presentation, isn't it?
Yeah. I haven't heard back. We've got no RSVPs yet.
Maybe we could host it. They could call us in and we could do the 3-2-1s throughout the whole night.
I'm sure they care.
Okay. I reckon there'd be worse people than us. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, Hitler.
That's too far.
He was worse than
dead
us.
Anyway, he'd be horrible.
You said there'd be worse people than us.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like someone like
Eddie Maguire,
alive and who would be bad at talking in public. I don't know. Oh, Dave Hughes. He'd be very bad.
He'd be annoying. I thought you were about to name drop someone from work then. Sorry, your former workplace. That is a major development.
I don't work at the moment,
in the
Sam.
history of the Don Pod. Nathan's technically unemployed at this point in time.
Technically unemployed this week.
No longer a colleague. It's funny, when the email went around that Nathan had resigned, everyone asked me how I was doing.
It was like that. Yeah.
See, I'm like, I still talk to him. We do know each other outside of work.
Yeah.
We might get along. Anyway, thought that was funny. Just to wrap up, I want to ask you a question. And now I've thought about this, I don't necessarily think there's much of a topic for discussion, but
go anyway.
I'm going to talk about it anyway. Player at Adelaide out of contract that they were talking about in said TikTok earlier. Rory Sloane. Has the way Tom Morris described it was, if he accepts that he will play some Sandful at times, there's a contract there for him. And I just think that...
what do you mean by there's a contract there
as
for him?
As in Adelaide will offer him a one-year deal as long as he's accepting of the fact that he'll be playing some SANFL football.
Yep. Gotcha.
Which to me, immediately I think, well, as any other club, not just us, there's a chance. You could say, right, well, we're not going to play in the VFL too much unless you really stink it up. How about it? And I think about, the Hodge at Brisbane. We had this conversation like 2 years ago.
Would he play as a halfback, or would you expect him to play in the midfield?
Well, I thought a halfback. He's a good user of the ball, wins the football, quite strong.
He's a hard unit.
I don't know. Maybe dependent with an asterisk to me than if Heppel plays on next year.
What about if you saw a world where Parish left? Say Parish leaves, we get the next pick, which would be what I expect would happen, because the contract would have to be around that number to get that situation.
Yes.
Yep. Then someone like that would be an option. Now, first of all, I don't think he'd ever leave Adelaide, even if he was told he'd play a bit of VFL or a lot of VFL.
I think you're right. I think he'd be
I think he's the sort of guy, he's a true clubman of that.
Yep. Agreed.
So I don't think, but the reverse of that, though, is if Parish left and you offered him, look, we need a senior player in there for a year who can help our young midfield. How would you feel about that? You might be interested.
Option. I just thought it was interesting, and I particularly phrased that way in that if he accepts that there'll be some SANFL, well, okay, we can probably give you a bit more game time.
Well, they've been playing, is it Matt or Brad? I get them mixed up. One's at St Kilda.
Matt Crouch.
Matt, yeah, so he's played a lot in the last couple of years of Sandful. And then he's came back in the last few weeks and been really good.
Very good, yeah. Yeah.
But he's had to spend a lot of time back there. And that's because of his deficiencies, which guys like Dawson and Keys have sort of, with pace and the skill that Dawson definitely has, have passed him, whereas Crouch's probably issue of leg speed is he's great at getting clearances,
Yeah.
He's another guy you might, if Parish left, you might ring him up and say, well, do you want to come play full time for us just for a year?
Spot, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you need the mature bodies. You still need to be protecting.
I think the concern for me is if Parish left, I wouldn't just then throw Hobbs and those guys to the Wolves. I'd be looking to get that sort of replacement in. Yeah, like you do with Ruckman, like we did with Phillips for the 2 years, 3 years. He's been at the club. He's been a great help. Like if he had been at the club and Brian had been playing that full time for the last 7 weeks or whatever since Draper went out, that'd be hard work on the kid. Yeah. So
anyway, I symbolic a little bit of the fact it's nearly silly season. And we're going to get into these discussions a lot now where we go, oh, Mackay, oh, this, oh, that.
Well, has there been any player that's retired? There's been a few again today, I see. It was, as I said earlier, Carton and someone else I saw on Twitter announced their retirement. I could see it on something. Is there any of those that you think we would talk to?
Nat Nui.
Nat Nui.
I think no. I think if they retired, they're saying
players get pulled out of retirement. Like
but
what's his name from North Melbourne? Shield.
I'll tell you who I would take. If again on the proviso we're losing Parish, for example, Cunnington.
Oh,
he had a very good game of football.
Yeah.
It was nice to see a few Essendon supporters that stuck around were clapping and just giving him the nice little send off that he deserved. Not brilliant player, not overly successful, but what he went through to play his 200 and whatever games of football was unlike any other that's played the game. So, and
at his peak powers, he was a very good football player.
Absolutely,
yeah, very good football player. I don't know if he won all Australians or anything, but
no, but it was nice to see a bit of mutual respect there and very easy.
250 odd games of AFL football is a seriously good football player.
Overcoming cancer while you're at it.
Twice, I think, didn't he?
Yep. Inspirational dude.
A good bloke.
And I did hear Brad Scott saying he'll be on the farm within 24 hours and we'll never see him again.
Fair enough. That wouldn't be horrible. If
fade off into retirement nicely.
Yep.
Color me jealous. Well, that might do us. Closing in on time, unless you have any final points.
No, just get the bloody VFL sorted, please.
Get the VFL sorted.
Wednesday night, what are you doing?
Oh, we'll be watching the Matildas. I would almost happily trade the Ashes just to ensure we win that game of soccer.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. When does the other semi on? Is that Tuesday night or? Wouldn't be after ours, would it? Because the other the other game was before it. There hasn't been one in between, is what I'm saying. So we must have played the second.
I think it's tomorrow night. Tomorrow 6 o'clock. So it's in New Zealand tomorrow. That one.
And who's that between? Sweden and
Spain and Sweden. And then England and Australia. Obviously, if we lose to England, we will still have another game, presumably Saturday night for third place playoff.
Yeah, could be cool.
But
I would love it if it was Sweden because then the yellows would be just.
I mean, the crowd's going to be 98% yellow anyway.
Yeah,
if it's us.
Yeah, true. We've got a bit of Swedish family associated with ours, so that would be interesting. I
don't want Sweden only because I passionately supported them against the USA, and it would feel dirty then if we're playing them in the final.
Dirty.
Even Spain's predominantly yellow, to be fair.
Oh.
So either way, different yellow. Not quite as vibrant.
I must admit, I loved our away strip that we wore in the other game.
That bluey, greeny.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan. I love the home kit.
Oh. No, I think the home kit's great, but I didn't mind the blue, that other colour. I thought it was quite nice.
I love a good football kit.
They do good footy kits, actually, or soccer.
You know what I like? This is a bit of a complete...
Whereas I hated the Richmond reverse one. That just looks so horrible.
Okay, if you say so. Yeah. The national anthems, when they played them, no words. It's left to the crowd.
To sing?
To sing, and you can hear it. It's beautiful. I was at Fed Square. Everyone just singing it. It was just great. Anyway, national pride. Bit of no America to worry about. For the sake of the next 2 days, we're a republic, as far as I'm concerned.
We should be that all the time. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Let's not bring in political opinions to the conversation, please.
No, let's not do that.
We'll be here all night. All right, no final thoughts? We're done?
No.
I can say toodle pip now.
I'll run it. Toodle pip.
I can say toodle pip. All right, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you, and go Dons, toodle pip.
Go Bombers.